Cause and effect analysis for November 30th, 2020. A cause and effect analysis may be understood as follows. This mode of argumentation requires two events, A and B. Event A is why something happens. Event B is what happens. A is the cause, B is the effect. And so we can express a cause and effect relationship in the form of a modus ponens and a modus tollens. These are two Latin phrases which we will explain hereafter. A modus ponens can be described as if P, then Q. P is the first event and Q is the following event. So let's take a look. If we use A and B instead of P and Q, it should read as follows. If it is raining, the grass gets wet. Event A precedes event B. If P, then Q. If you know your login and password, you can access our school computer. If P, then Q. If Desdemona loves Othello, she will keep his handkerchief. If P, then Q. So thus, a modus ponens form of an argument begins with a major premise, followed by a minor premise that follows the antecedent or preceding event. We use the letters P and Q to denote event A and event B respectively. Let's proceed to the next slide. A modus ponens argument looks something like this. If event P, then event Q, P exists, therefore Q exists. So if we look at the example 1 column, if it rains is P, then Q exists, the grass gets wet. P exists if it is raining, or it is raining, therefore Q exists, the grass is wet. Example 2. If you know your login password, you can access our school computer. Well, P exists. You personally know your login and password. Therefore, you can access our school computer. In example 3, if Desdemona loves Othello, she will keep his handkerchief. Desdemona loves Othello, P. She, therefore, has his handkerchief, Q. Now let's look at one real-life example from our school to see how the modus ponens argument works in real life. Hey Linda, I heard that you're taking the grade 11 university math course next semester. Yes, that's right, Jane. I've got a 70% in the grade 10 academic course last year. But I thought you had to have more than a 70% to take university math. No, you can just get by with a 70%, but my mom is making me do the 2-week upgrade course in summer school. Oh, that sucks royally. Yeah, tell me about it. So here the hidden modus ponens argument is as follows. If you score 70% or better in the grade 10 academic course, you can take the grade 11 university course. P exists. Jane, a specific example, scored 70% in the grade 10 academic course. Therefore, Jane can take the grade 11 university math course. This is another example of a modus ponens story. So let's recall modus ponens argument again, in case you're just catching us late in the lesson. Modus ponens is a cause and effect form of analysis. It states that if event P precedes Q, then if P as a statement exists, therefore Q, because the relationship between P and Q is causal. One influences the outcome of the other. So the modus tollens is actually the contrapositive. To write the contrapositive, we first take the statement P, then Q, and rewrite it as if not Q, then not P, or simply not Q, therefore not P. It's much easier, I think, to explain the structure with color codes and see it as the following chart. Top left corner, if Macbeth kills Macduff's family, then Macduff will seek revenge. If P, then Q. But if we want to create the contrapositive, forming a modus tollens argument, we take the last entry, then Macduff will seek revenge, and place it as the first entry, but with a negation. If Macduff does not seek revenge, and then we take the prior statement, event P, take it, place it into the bottom corner here, and negate it. Macbeth does not kill Macduff's family. So we can construct the modus tollens argument. If not Q, then not P. If Macduff does not seek revenge, Macbeth did not kill Macduff's family. Positively put, we could say if Macbeth kills Macduff's family, then Macduff will seek revenge. Okay. Let's look at one more example. If you ask for a favor, I may reply. P implies Q. You ask me a favor, I may reply. Now we can write this as a contrapositive or modus tollens. In reverse order, we write I may reply with a negative if I may not reply, and then we rejoinder if you do not ask for a favor. So I may not reply if you do not ask for a favor, or positively, if you ask for a favor, I may reply. It's a little tricky, but if you mind your P's and Q's, create a chart and crisscross and use negatives, you'll be quite fine. Here's one last slide to help you maybe understand the difference between modus ponens and modus tollens. Here it is asserted if P, then Q. If you play with the white pieces in chess, you start the game. P implies Q. If we reverse the Q and the P and make negations possible, then we write a modus tollens argument. So you start the game, starts first, but you negate it. If you do not start the chess game, you play with not the white pieces. So what is the opposite of not the white pieces? You play with the black pieces. So if you do not start the chess game, you play with the black pieces. So I'm going to give you 3 examples quickly. We have taken a modus ponens argument in each of these 3 cases. Now I want you to create a modus tollens or contrapositives. And it's quite easy, and I'll show you how to do it. Example 1. If a polygon is a quadrilateral, the sum of the interior angles is 360 degrees. So we see this is the if statement, that's P. The next statement is Q. So we start with the Q statement, and we highlight it, and then we negate it. If the sum of the interior angles is not 360 degrees, type that first, then a polygon is not a quadrilateral. Makes sense. What if you have something that's 180 degrees? Is that a quadrilateral? No, so the condition is met. Suppose you're a Christian, Orthodox, Protestant, or Catholic. Suppose if it is Sunday, you go to church. Well, what happens if you don't go to church? If I do not go to church, then it is not Sunday. Okay. Last example. If I read War and Peace, I like Leo Tolstoy. He created the novel. So P implies Q. To create the modus tollens, I use the transposition of P to Q and Q to P and use negation. So if I do not like Leo Tolstoy, then I do not read War and Peace. And that's the trick. Now let's look at some examples from Antigone, just to consolidate our modus ponens and modus tollens argumentation. Ismene warns her sister, "Now look at the 2 of us, left so alone. Think what a death will die, the worst of all, if we violate the laws and override the fixed decree of the throne." If we record this as a modus ponens argument, we recall that P occurs and then Q occurs. So if we violate the laws, then we shall die. P, then Q. We could reverse the order of our event B and event A. So if we take event B and negate it, and then take event A and negate that, we have if not Q, then not P. If we wish to live, we must obey crayon. That's in the negative phrasing. If we state it in the positive, if we violate the laws, then we shall die. Notice that the 2 statements are equivalent. If we violate the laws, then we shall die. If we wish to live, then we must obey crayon's laws. And that's how a modus ponens and modus tollens work for example 1 in the text. Let's look at the next example. Example 2, Antigone responds to her sister Ismene. If you say so, you will make me hate you. Event A occurs followed by event B. If P occurs, then Q occurs. If you say so, event A, you will make me hate you, event B. Now we can reverse the order of B and A and follow it with a negation for each. So event B, it becomes not event B, and event A becomes not event A. Simply put, if not Q, then not P. If you want me to love you, take the last phrase of that component and negate it. So if you want me not to hate you, could be rephrased as if you want me to love you, don't say it. You will not say so. So if you want me to love you, don't say it. If you say so, you will make me hate you. So these two are equivalent. So hopefully with these two examples, you now understand that this is a modus ponens argument and this is a modus tollens argument.